Hi, everyone. I'm Shira, and I am here with Juji, Kim, Lee, and Tarriss. We are five friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups, and we come together to offer healing and inspiration. We want you, our audience, to get to know us a little bit better through our struggles, our triumphs, and the lessons we've learned along the way. So far, we've heard Juji, Kim, and Lee's stories. Today, we're talking to Tarriss. And it's come to my attention, Tarriss, that you're not big on personal stories. So what's the story with that?
Thanks for that. I'm not. I mean, I have to tell you, I struggle with the story. Everyone has a story. And I have been told for many years when I started my journey into the health and wellness world, what's your story? What's your story? And I'm like, fucking know. Like, what do you mean what's my story? Leave me alone. Like, how did I get here? I don't know. I got here. Like, it's my journey. Like, I always was so anti the story and kind of against it. I guess because it's so personal and there's so much I feel that has happened to me in my life. A lot of stuff that I'm very shameful of. A lot of stuff, that we talk about in society.
Hey, Tarriss, can you make your volume a little higher? Because
it's as high as it goes, but I could scream.
Oh no, that's actually a little better. Yeah.
Okay. So there's stuff in society that we talk about that is doomed to look down on people, or something that could rise to the occasion, like, oh my God, that person is so amazing because this is what they went through, or and I think that I have a mixture of all that stuff, and it's hard to share that, but I do want to first point out that there's one main message with my story and stories, is that no matter what happened to me in life, I chose to keep moving forward. It was my choice. And I think for anyone, for whatever that they go through, you just need to keep on pushing forward, because that's the most important part. And also to know that it is your choice. And also for me, before I get started, is that faith is very huge to me. I have a very strong connection with God. I believe that we're all here for a higher purpose. And I believe that it's up to us to find our journey. And it doesn't matter what happens to you. Everything happens for you, because it's what the big guy wants, because he has a bigger message for you and for all of us. And you need to know that, and you need to believe that in your heart. So that's one big part of my journey and story, that I had to realize that. So obviously we all have, issues growing up. We all have problems. We all have complications. I did not grow up from a very loving household. I had, a mom, I have a brother, but we were all damaged in our own way, which I think many families are today. And, it's a shame that we don't communicate and we don't love each other a little bit harder and stronger. I had to deal with death very early on in my life. My father died at the age of 12. I did not get over that until I was probably clear into my 30s. So it took me about a good solid 20 years to deal with my father's death. I lived
Tarriss,
yeah.
Your father died when you were 12, you mean?
When I was 12.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I understood that your father died at the age of 12, but you were 12. Okay.
I was, yeah.
He couldn't
say, he was mighty young when he had you. Got some good genes there, procreating so young.
And I may stumble over my words, and I may say some really weird, fucked up shit, and it's probably just because I'm really nervous. So I apologize to the viewers that don't like the F-bomb.
That's okay. We clearly know your father didn't die when he was 12.
Okay, good.
Tarriss, do you mind sharing how he died?
So that's actually gonna be, I guess, part of the story. We never really knew. So this is part of the complication that I grew up with. I lived in a very secretive family. So everything was hush hush from the kids. So first it was told to us that he did pass away of cancer. We then later found out that it wasn't cancer. And I actually had a lot of family members tell me that it was possible that my mother killed him. And maybe my mother's husband and father, her the man that she was married to. And I still to this day, I don't believe that, but I have no idea why in God's name at 17 years old, family members would tell you your mother may have had something to do.
What do you mean may have had? What?
Like, I never explored it more. I just knew, wow, this is fucked up. Is this true? Like, how do I go about it? Do I go? Do I ask my mom? Do I ask it? Like, I just lived in a world of lies, and like everything is fucked up because I don't know what to believe. Like, I didn't know what to believe. But then later on, it was told to me that the government killed him because he worked for the government. And then, like, it was just craziness, on and on and on. A lot of conspiracy theory shit. And then probably maybe 5 years ago, I was at my aunt's house, and my brother was going through some tough times. And my aunt had said to me, well, listen, I'm very concerned with your brother right now. Let's just make sure he doesn't kill himself like your father did. And I was like, what? Wow. Like, I mean, at that point, I was like, I mean, what do you say? Like,
how old were you at this point?
I mean, I was in my 30s by this point, like maybe 35 years ago. So I was 36, 35.
Was there anyone in your family that you could go to and that you trusted to kind of give you some info?
My grandmother and I were really close, and we talked a lot about it. And I believe that the missing pieces to my father's death is actually in a book that my grandmother wanted to give me, and was then, I don't know, taken from her house when she passed away. So I would love to have that book. I would love to read that book.
You mean like a journal or an actual book?
Yeah, I'm sure it was a journal that my father wrote.
Right. And this grandmother is your dad's mom or your mom's mom?
My dad's mom. Yeah, my mom's mom, unfortunately, is a whole nother interesting story. But I didn't have a very close relationship with her. She was a little different.
And was your grandfather involved at all? Your dad's dad?
Oh, yeah.
Is he still alive?
No, everyone I've lived a life of pure death. Like every 6 months, someone in my family, someone close to me has died, which is the next part of my story.
Tarriss, if you don't mind me interrupting you, I just would love to know, just from what you just shared with us, like how did that impact you as a young girl?
Okay, so that could be the next part of my story. So unfortunately, when you're young and you're 12 and you don't deal or talk about or communicate anything about death in your family, you could go down a really dark path. And I think that's what happened to me. Well, I know that that's what happened to me. I was sad. I was lonely. I was depressed all the fucking time. I started drinking when I was probably like 12 years old. I would drink so much vodka and get so fucking hammered. I would not even either know where I was, or I would just be like vomiting because the vodka did not agree with me. And, I finally got to the point in my life where I was like, okay, I can't fucking drink, but what can I do? And what could you do if you're not drinking but drugs, right? So I started dabbling in drugs, and I definitely hung around a lot of the wrong people. And a lot of people that did a lot of drugs, and it was, obviously a unhealthy lifestyle, and I just didn't care because I didn't love myself, and I didn't think I was worth anything, and I was sad, and I didn't know where I belonged at all. I had no idea where I didn't know anything about myself. I really didn't, and I didn't care.
You had no one to talk to about these emotions did you have siblings? Like, did you talk to your grandmother about it?
So, yeah, I always was on this journey of knowing that I needed really good energy and I needed something to pick me up. Like, I always felt that. I was blessed with that. So if that would come my way, I would, go and speak to one of my higher rocks is what I would call them. So like my grandmother, I would go and I would speak with my grandmother and we would just talk about God and talk about the Bible. And like I always knew things that I was doing was wrong. Like it wasn't right. It wasn't okay, but I just didn't know how to deal with anything. So yeah, there was always people in my life, my aunt, I had really close friends. I was so fucking blessed when I went to high school, with going through everything that I was going through with, the loss of my father and living in an unhealthy household and not really loving my mom and my stepfather. And my brother was like abusive. He was an asshole. And instead of like combining forces, we repelled each other, which was super hard. But I had a really super amazing family that like took me in as their own. And my best friend welcomed me into her home. Her parents took me in. I called them my godparents because I just thought at this crucial time in my life that I felt like I had nothing, no family, no one to love, no one to love me. I had them. And I swear if I did not have them, I probably would have been like, a hooker on the street, like with needles in my arm or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but.
So your mom didn't know what was going on at all?
No, nobody did. I mean, a couple of friends would be like, are you okay? Like, I mean, I wasn't a drug addict. Like, I wasn't bad. I didn't like need it, right? I just knew that like, okay, I was sad. I was depressed. I don't want to feel like this. What could I do to, self-medicate myself? So it wasn't like, I wasn't like, freaking out or fiending or anything like that. That unfortunately was the man that I married. Which we could go into that now, if you guys want.
Well, I'd like to actually go back just a touch back to your household with your mom and your brother. What do you feel like you were missing the most? What did you need
Everything, Lee, everything. Like it's so deep. I feel like when you are a kid, right? You need nurturing, you need love, you need guidance, you need compassion, you need someone to talk to you, you need someone to cook for you, you need someone to go on trips with you, you need someone to sit and paint your nails, you need someone to play dolls with you, like you need someone to do your schoolwork, you like there's so much, and none of it, I got none of it.
Tarriss, you need someone to take care of you, and no one was taking care of you. You were like,
I had nannies. I had a nanny when I was younger, and we slept at my nanny's house more than our house. Like I don't even remember my father when I was living home with my mother and my father before they got divorced. Like I never saw my father. I never saw my mother. I saw the lady that took care of me, my brother, all of the freaking time. There was just no relationship. I saw my father more when he and my mother got divorced.
If you had to describe your feeling with all of the things that you lacked and needed at the time, how would you describe that?
Lonely? Is that what you mean? Like lonely?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, like I could not imagine.
And you can relate, right? Because you always felt lonely.
I did, not alone, but lonely in a different way. Yeah, it was very different for me. I had things. I had some attention, some stuff. Yeah, things were missing for me in a very different way than for you.
Yeah. Well, also I think because coming from another country, it also is just different. But you also you go to American schools and you watch television and everyone has the perfect life, the mom, the dad, the kids.
Brady Bunch.
And they have the puppy and they do the fun parties and that was not me. That's not what I had. It's always what I wanted. So that is like when I got pulled into my friend's family, I was like, oh my God, this is all I ever wanted. Like, this is what I prayed about. This is what I wanted. Yeah. And I was so lucky to get it. Like I did. And listen, they were not perfect and they are not perfect. And, they had their own issues, but to me, their household was like like I mean, I was so close to them when my husband and I decided to separate after I had my child, and I'll go back, but I moved in with them. Like, I just needed them to be with me and take care of me, and you know, let me share my son, you know, with them, and, you know, receive all the love back that they wanted to give me and him, you know.
So you're still in touch with them? Are you still like, are you close? Are they like your chosen family?
They are my chosen family. Unfortunately, you know, everyone has gone through quite a few ups and downs and crises, and we unfortunately lost both the, you know, mom and dad in the family. You know, so I think that that has just really changed the dynamic of everyone, which is, you know, heartbreaking, but this is the cycle of my life: death, death, death. You know what I mean? The people that are the closest to me die, which is a really big, huge part of my story.
Tarriss, I feel like you're so, when you lose somebody at such a young age, I feel like it's just, you like lose a bit of your innocence, and but I do feel like it makes you like a stronger person, like a more resilient person, because it is something that's just, you know, loss is so hard to deal with. It's so difficult, especially when you're young and you're so confused. And I just, when I look at you, because, you know, I've known you for a while now, and you just, all the loss that you've experienced in your life, I feel like you do push through, because you're so, it's like each one has made you stronger and stronger and reminds you to take care of you, because at the end of the day, you were taking care of yourself from a very young age. So you know how to do that. But it just, you're so strong to me. I just wanted to tell you that.
Thanks. You know, and I had to do that because I'll tell you, when you sit with death for a long time, you could go one of two ways. You could go in a really dark hole, or you could turn to the light. And I chose both, and I've felt both. And I went to the dark for a really long time, and that's no place for anyone to be or live. You know, so at the end of it, when I finally came to my senses, you know, I just chose light in a happier, positive way, always, no matter what comes through my path. You know, I mean, I'm gonna just share a little bit more darker stuff. You know, I put myself through a lot of really bad, unhealthy relationships because I did not know how to take care of myself, because I just felt I wasn't deserving of anything, because I didn't have that fatherly love, I think. So I did always go and possibly look to, you know, someone to take care of me, right? Emotionally, physically, mentally. And I did date a lot of older guys, right? You date the old guys because you have fucking daddy complex or daddy issues or whatever. I dated guys that, it's true. I dated a guy.
Sorry, Juju's like, Juju, you can relate to her?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a reference, right? See, like, you have this fucking crazy, weird daddy complex.
Well, do you feel like part of that is like wanting somebody else to take the lead and like almost make them responsible for the relationship?
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I think I just wanted, like, maybe someone to just, like, take care of me and, like, hold my hand and tell me
Hey,
everything's gonna be okay. No.
hey, Tarriss, considering your household and the way that you grew up, when your father died and you were 12, other than the loss of your actual father, what kind of a loss was it for you? I mean, were you distraught? Were you just angry? Did you feel another void or par for the course?
I was distraught because I knew in my heart, now I'm going to get emotional and cry, I knew my only real, true, pure happiness was going to be through that man.
Were you were close to him, Tarriss?
Yeah, on a different level. Like, you know, you could feel when someone loves you.
And you were saying your mom was like really different, and it sounds like what you got from your dad wasn't what you got from your mom.
My mom is a great person, but she's different. She is, I mean, the only way that I can explain this is my mom is very into her and her beliefs, and she's always right. And she could be pegged maybe a little bit as a narcissist. I don't want to throw that name just out there, but she could be. She does love herself. She thinks she's amazing, which we all should, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But she also grew up with 3 brothers and, you know, in a strict household. I mean, my grandmother was like this crazy Lithuanian Russian lady. So, I mean, enough said. My mom got ass whoopings. My mom got it rough. So, I mean, I'm sure she just had to put up crazy walls, and nobody ever told her she loved her. They loved her, you know? So I think that's just suit she followed, you know? But enough with that. Yeah. So where was I prior? Did that answer your question, Lee?
It started to. I think we got a little veered off, but
I think this is actually a good place to wrap for today, because I know, Tarriss, you were going to go back and talk a little bit more about some dark places. And I guess, you know, from every death, there's a rebirth. So I think this is probably a good place to wrap. But don't worry, we're going to continue with part 2 of our interview with Tarriss. Until then, if you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel. And also let us know if you have any topic requests by commenting in the area below. We will see you soon. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, everyone.